I'm Stephen. I'm Stephen McLaughlin. I'm the co-founder of VetBadger, and this is my wife, Dr. Alexandra.
Hi, yeah, I'm Dr. Alexander McLaughlin, and I've been a vet for over 20 years. So, yeah.
So yeah, we started out um, when she graduated from vet school. She went to vet school in Ireland, and we came home from Ireland, and she started practicing in a small mixed
Mixed,
animal
yeah,
practice.
mixed animal.
Um, did that for about a year, and then she went and worked at a corporate practice for a while. Um, got a lot of experience working for large corporations. Um, and then about 12 years ago now, I think
No,
we,
it's like
was it longer than that?
like 14.
14 years ago. Yeah. It's been a long time. Um, she started working at Barber Vet, which is the clinic that we now own. And so she worked there for a couple of years, and then we had the opportunity to buy the practice. And as part of that journey, we had talked about the way that she practices medicine and the way that the tools that existed at the time to support that weren't really sufficient. So maybe you want to talk a little bit about sort of client communication, client
Yeah.
relationships, and
So even when I was at corporate for like 8 years, client communication was really difficult. I had to use personal email. I had to use Google Drive. I had to cut and paste. I demanded exam reports out of myself for each client, for each exam. Exams are expensive. We cover a lot of information, and just sending someone out the door without kind of a report about what we went over seems a waste of the client's time and money. So I was doing that at the corporate. It was a lot of work. I would stay late doing it, but it's just my clients loved it and I had a loyal following. So I wanted to continue that in the other business and being an owner. So I had the opportunity to start looking at other practice management software. Well, I soon discovered there was nothing that actually met my demands, nothing that had easy client communication. I'd still be cutting and pasting, but I'd be paying them a lot of money for something that didn't meet what I wanted. So I discussed with Stephen what I really needed to make my life easier and to make the clients happy and my team happy. And we went over all of the requirements, and I was doing that, and I bought a new business and I was doing a remodel, and it was a bit
it
chaotic.
was a stressful time.
It was stressful, but to me, it was worth it. It was worth everything because that's the only way I wanted to practice medicine. I wanted good communication with my clients.
Yeah, it was one of those times when you realized that the priorities that you have and the way you want to live your life, do your job, practice medicine, have to align with the choices that you make and the priorities that you set when you're choosing the tools that you're going to use. So, for example, this thing about copying and pasting, like it wasn't just the client communication because we had actually built a tool before that that was just sort of a communication platform. And you still see some businesses out there that just have these communication platforms now. But the problem that we ran into is the problem that I think many people who use those are still seeing, which is that it's the integration between the medical record and the communication platform that was missing, and the ability to take a medical record and quickly summarize it and turn it into an email that the client could read, and kind of meeting them where they were and being able to send them an email, but not just a bunch of technical medical jargon, but actually translating that into something that the client could understand. And the only way to do that was to have this sort of integrated system. And so that was how we started building VetBadger. And then the next thing we realized, having just purchased a clinic, and we were new to being employers and to having employees and dealing with like managing this group of people, and kind of the workflow in a clinic, which is usually chaotic at the best of times.
Yeah.
And we realized that there's so much, the tasks that get set for people and the ways that people communicate just within the building were so primitive. I mean, so many times, people would just, you take a phone call and you leave somebody a post-it note on their desk or something. Or you tell someone to tell someone else, hey, remind doctor to go do this thing. And so we realized that that sort of task flow, like team-based workflow stuff is really critical to not just the operation of the business, but the stress levels in the business. And you look at it now, and there's so much conversation now about how stressful this industry is and the mental toll that it takes on people. And you realize that so much of that is just because of the tedious nature of the just managing the chaos. And so that was one of the things that we saw early on, was that that also needed to be built into the software, because you can't have people like trying to find other tools that they would sort of plug in, and then that would just be another level of stress. We just decided that that needed to be sort of a core piece of the software. So that was
Yeah, so the task management is essential. So, for example, I'll even give myself tasks because if I need to go over an X-ray report, and actually I have one right now I need to go over. So I'll give myself a task, I'll set the day, and I'll give an alert level and I'll give it to myself. And then I can do the same thing with any staff member. I can make it reception, I can make it technician, or I can make it a specific team member. And then it also takes out misinterpretation of how I ask for things. I can come off as brusque and because I just want things done. And assigning a task just takes that out of play. People aren't like, oh, she's mad at me. I'm like, no, I just really want to know I what Mrs. Smith said about her dog. And that way I can just ask. And then obviously with the tasks, there's now we have the chat system. So that's the current communication throughout the clinic that also is amazing. And that helps, again, ease the flow of communication, make it non-judgmental, and make it quick and timely. So,
And again, all these things are tied into the medical records, or the medical record sort of becomes this central place where chat messages about a patient, tasks about a patient, all these things are linked together. And so you can easily make that switch from seeing a message to immediately seeing the context behind that message and understanding everything about the patient that you're discussing or the client that you're discussing, and being able to switch back and forth. Again, it helps to kind of reduce that chaos. And we found that our team members just really like it. And the task system, especially, like if I'm at home and I need my wife to do something, I'll actually just put a task in the task system, because I know that's like in the middle of her day, I don't want to have to call the clinic. It's often the easiest way to sort of get something on her list of things to do, because the task system just organizes her entire day. And
yeah.
so, if I needed her to pick up some eggs on the way home from work or something, I'll just
But
give her a task in VetBadger.
But aside from that, if the task is within a patient's chart for like the dog's name is Spot and maybe the client has 5 dogs, it will be all the discussions, email and text will be in Spot's chart. If it's the another dog in that client has, it'll be specifically in that chart. So it's easy. You don't have to go hunt down information and put it in the medical record.
Yeah.
Because again, if it's not in the medical record, it didn't happen or it wasn't discussed. So all of that, all the boxes are ticked with all the requirements for logging information about the client and with the owner. So yeah, just everything is there, and you don't have to buy separate software and have it integrated. I know there's lots of that out there. They're like, buy us and we'll integrate. Well, we all know it's not that simple. There's a lot of frustration with those other practice management softwares and the other integrations.
Yeah.
So just keeps it really simple.
So yeah, it's really become a fundamental building block of the way we run Barber Vet, is that we expect everything to be in the software and all the features to be provided by the software. And our clients can see that, they understand that they can get in touch with us. It's easy for them to communicate with us. It's easy for us to manage the communication within the team. And it just manages the whole not just the work at the clinic, but even the culture of the clinic just becomes much easier to manage when you have the right tools built in. And again, it goes back to what I was saying earlier, having the tools that align with the philosophy of your clinic, which is what we built.
Yep.